Appeals. My name is Andrew Bobadere, Jason Bahanowitz, and Iris Tang. And we have 4 hearings scheduled tonight, but I think only 3 of them are going to go forward. I guess I should start. Is anyone here on 9 Lawrence Plain?
Yep.
That one is going to be withdrawn, I believe, but we're going to continue it tonight. I think he's going to do an ADU or something smaller than the proposal that he originally had. So that we won't be doing that one.
That's right, I have no objections anyway. So do you mind if I just sit and listen?
Yeah, no, not at all.
Good. Yeah, I do want to stay.
So the first hearing we have is 134 Rocky Hill, public hearing. It's a request for a variance under 6.2 of the Hadley zoning bylaw by Christian Ron, property located at 134 Rocky Hill, Assessor's Map 11A, Lot 152. That is the residential zone. He is seeking a variance from the table of uses to allow a small seasonal farm stand for the sale of flowers grown on site within the residential zoning district, and a variance from the dimensional requirements to allow a reduction of the required front setback from 50 feet to approximately 25 feet, which represents the minimum relief necessary to accommodate safe access and circulation. Is anyone here on 134?
That's me.
Okay.
Hi.
You have the floor. Let us know what you got going on here.
Okay, great. That was some very official language that essentially means that I would like to put a small flower stand up where my wife can sell the flowers that she grows at our house. And the 2 parts there were, one, because on my side of the street it's residential zoning. I needed an exception from the use table to set up the flower stand. And then the other was to be able to have it kind of closer to the road, like you would typically think of as a farm or flower stand, as opposed to, pretty far back into the property, like you would have a building.
How big is your lot there?
The lot is 1.5 acres, I think.
Do you have is that kind of like a double lot there where there's sort of like an extra spot next to you?
Yes, in the packet I submitted, there's an image, but this is really. I think I printed a bigger one. Yes, there is a double lot. It looks. It's not zoned differently. If you look at it from the top, there's like this part. It's this whole lot, but this part looks like there should be a house there. It's not. It's just a single lot. There's never been a house there or anything like that. So this is my house, and this is where I'm asking to put the flower stand, just over right here in the front.
Can we take a look at that picture?
Yeah. I have the whole packet with explanations if you want to.
So you're looking to move the driveway.
Yes.
The 25 feet is for the actual flower stand?
Correct.
Cars,
Yeah.
And the yellow on here is like the shape of what the driveway will look like?
So I need to move my driveway anyway or redo it. It's in disrepair. So in service to this project, my idea was to move it over where you kind of see the yellow lines. And also that one shape, the U shape, was my idea to let people pull in, buy some flowers, but then not have to back out onto Rocky Hill because that's a nightmare. So I was just planning to make that little U shape there as well, but I'm open to, conditions from the board if that's not the right thing to do.
What is the what's the actual flower stand? Is that a permanent structure, or is that going to be like a trailer or something?
I was planning to make it like out of timber, like a permanent structure, kind of the size of a shed, 8 by 20. No floor, not like a slab or anything, just be, open air, right? So there's there would be kind of 3 walls in the front, would just be kind of open.
And in this picture here with the dotted, you have like blue dotted lines showing 50 feet off the road, and what
That,
Is there a reason you wouldn't put it 50 feet off the road? What's the thought on it? Just for visibility or?
yeah, it's for visibility, and my lot slopes up pretty drastically, so if I was putting it 50 feet back, it would be like up and back from the road. So it would make like for people to get there in their cars, they would have to kind of take a harder turn and then go up a hill, and it seems like it would actually be more of a
Easily
kind of mess.
accessed.
Yeah, it was more easily accessed if it's kind of up here by the road and there's just like a pull off.
So for Jason and Iris, if you guys don't know, the sort of I'm going to call it a quirk, but most of the town is agricultural residential combo zone, and then I think it was an idea of how they were laying out the town at the time, that neighborhood kind of behind there, like Pilot Circle and over onto those roads off of Huntington, Edgewood and all that area. They zoned that area as residential only, and so that, I think the thought process was they were gonna do smaller lots there and have like a more consolidated, like denser residential only zone. So a lot of the things that apply everywhere else in town don't apply there, because the lots can be a little bit, I think the lots there are like half-acre lots, some of them, so that you can't, like some of the, you're not allowed to have like the same like farm animals and things like that. Like this has come up before where somebody was in that zone, he had like 4 acres and he wanted to have a horse, and he was like, my neighbor could have a horse across the street, but I can't have a horse, and I have like 4 acres or whatever. So,
So you needed 5 acres to have a horse. Oh, okay, sorry.
I'm actually, yeah, maybe that's not, maybe he had more than 5, he might have had 5 acres, but the example was, he had a big lot, but the idea is that there are limitations in this zone generally, because, like, I think, again, I think at the time they were trying to like cluster housing there, and so in this situation, the neighbors across the street who have a smaller lot, could have a farm stand, and obviously you have to draw the line somewhere, but he's got this like jumbo lot, and people across the street would be able to have a farm stand. But that's like sort of, that's the use case, and then so the table of uses says that farm stands are allowed in agriculture residential, but not in residential. And then this is a setback issue, yes?
We're here to present objections to that.
Okay.
As you all know, Rocky Hill Road has a reputation in this town of being a very hazardous place. I have witnessed cars practically and getting rear-ended because we're trying to drive into our driveway or something. And this is considered a shortcut, and people aren't paying attention. And if you've got your light on to turn in, a car behind me stopped, but the car behind them did not smash. Also, Pat and I were out there at the mailbox. It's difficult to even get to our mailbox because there is no sidewalk. There is no large access to that road. It's like maybe that much between the road and our property. So getting out to the mailbox can be hazardous to our health. And we were out there one day standing at the mailbox when the postman drew up, and this big tanker truck, because now we're getting a lot more trucks and so forth because of this construction on Route 9, he almost hit that postal vehicle in the rear, and he had a full tank of gas. I think the road is too hazardous, it's residential, he's got kids, he knows that. You know, to have a child was almost hit this past fall by nobody stopping for a school bus. They're not paying attention on this road. It's a shortcut, they want to get to UMass, Northampton, and regardless of whoever else lives on the road. And I could just see that being a problem with people trying to pull off to this. And it's not a little one that he showed me. It's a fairly good size farm stand. Trying to stop there, find a place to park, getting hit in the rear. I mean, to me, it's a nuisance. On Rocky Hill Road, it's not appropriate.
So what's your name and address?
Carol Booker, 137 Rocky Hill Road. I'm directly across from this lot.
I am too.
It's gonna be difficult for me to get out of my driveway if people are trying to park along that road or trying to get into the driveway. I'm not in favor of it.
Karen Hayes. I live at 139 Rocky Hill Road. I live right next to Carroll, and the road is extremely hazardous. I cannot pull out of my driveway. Thank God I have a turnaround so I can pull, you know, out forwards. But I had questions about parking. Are people gonna pull out? Because I think that would, you know, be a hazard. You have this idea of having them come in and circle around.
Would you like to see a
So-
picture?
Yeah. And, okay, so they're gonna come into the stand,
Mm-hmm.
and then
That-
they're gonna drive out forward, so they're not gonna back out.
Yeah, backing out onto that road is just
But what if
a
they're
nightmare.
coming the other way? How are they gonna access your stand?
They'll just be in and an out. Just, I think, Karen, you said you have a turnaround driveway, right?
No, I have a place to turn around, so I have
Oh,
an
a place
extra
to turn.
parking space, because otherwise, you know, I back into that when I'm pulling out of
Yeah.
my garage, because it's impossible to back out into Rocky Hill,
Yeah.
it's really hazardous.
Totally.
And so, you know, people backing out would be a terrible, terrible thing. And also, I can see people maybe parking on the other side of the road, that's what people
On
do.
my lawn.
On her lawn, on my lawn, on.
My
yeah,
lawn.
on her lawn, you know, so, I mean, what's to stop people from doing that, right? If they're coming from Northampton, they're not gonna pull in, you know, to the other side of the road. They're gonna park on my lawn or Carol's lawn, and
Because
they're
there
gonna-
is
they're gonna
no
run over.
leeway.
So it's just a bad road, and it's a bad part of the road, because it's, for a little while, it starts to flatten out until you get to those S-curves there, and people fly down there. So I think having a stand there, it'd be a lovely thing, it really would be, but I think it's hazardous. I think it would contribute to, the, you know, it would impact safety negatively in that area.
I have a question. With this curve, you know, you're driving in and with the stand, the flower stand, and then drive out. How many cars can you park on this curve?
I measured it out, and you can park. So the way that I measured it is that the curve will be wide enough for 2 cars abreast, so that cars could pull in and park. You can fit 2 or maybe 3 small cars parked, and then have other cars come in and still be able to get through and past. So I would say 2 or 3, which is more than I ever anticipate needing. It's, you know, it's just flowers. I'm not gonna like see a lot of traffic here, I don't think. So yeah, I mean, if you didn't need to get through it, you could park a whole bunch of cars there. And also in the picture, you'll see it's connected to my driveway as well. So if for some reason more people needed to come there, I could just direct them up my driveway.
Part of your own personal
This is the
property.
picture of the plot.
Hmm?
And you
On
can
your own
see
personal
there
property,
is
they would be
no
going on your
extra
driveway.
space. There is no sidewalk.
That's
It's all-
personal property
it's all
anyway.
my
And he's
personal
always
property.
started digging
No,
this
I'm
out.
talking
To me,
about the
that is
people
not
who
a
come into your
small
stand.
area. He's done
Uh-huh.
this whole
And you've
area
got
out there.
them looping
And
around.
this is where he has
Just
finished
looping
digging
around
out. See
here.
how close that is to the road.
Like, you see these little cars? The
Oh,
pictures
is that
of little
what that
cars?
is?
Yeah, those are little pictures of little cars to show. This is actually just pictures of these same, so you can see in this photo, my cars parked here. These are just literally, the image is moved over here so that you can see the scale, right? So you can see a parked car and then a car passing it, right? The whole point of this is to make the light traffic that any of the other flower stands on the road, I would imagine, will have, and then just make it very seamless to minimize all of the concerns that are very reasonably brought up. Rocky Hill is fast. Like we don't want to create any sort of unsafe environment. That's why it's structured that way with the turnaround and everything. You know, I would I would imagine that if flower stands are a big problem on Rocky Hill, there must have been problems before with the other flower stands on the road. There's a number of them. So, you know, I don't want to make anything unsafe. I'm just trying to make a place to sell some flowers.
So in this picture,
Mm-hmm.
this first yellow curve is what you're proposing. This one would be if it was offset, if it was set back 50 feet. The blue outline would be if it was set back 50 feet.
No, so,
Or-
sorry, that little solid blue square is my proposed location for the farm stand. And then the yellow lines, they're not filled in, but those are kind of the borders of a driveway.
Oh, I see, okay.
Right, so that little U shape right in front of the blue stand is for people to pull in and pull through so they don't have to back out. And then the other yellow part that kind of goes up towards the tree, that's just going my driveway to my house, right? So it'll be kind of the same entrance as well.
My name is Lynn Latham, and I live at 11 Highland Circle. I sent an email to the board about this matter on April 24th in support of it, and I highlighted how along Rocky Hill Road there are at least 3 other places that happen not to be in a residential zone where flowers are sold, and I provided pictures of a couple of them. I have lived next to Christian for 8 years,
I think 8, yeah, man.
and I have seen how he and his wife have taken care of the property and taken care of their children, and I am absolutely convinced that they would never do anything to endanger anyone. I am in support of this, and just as much as anybody else, I am pulling off of Rocky Hill onto Highland Circle all of the time. And I understand that since the Route 9 construction, there has been considerably more traffic on Rocky Hill, including ambulances and other emergency vehicles.
We were told we can't put any bump or anything to slow the traffic down because of the
Excuse me,
ambulances.
I was talking.
I thought
You-
you'd stopped.
I did too. Sorry.
You can now continue.
Oh, thank
said,
you.
You said something about ambulances. And
Yes.
they are using that route now.
Yes,
As well as
that's-
fire trucks and,
Police cars, all of the public safety vehicles are using it.
right.
And in my estimation, because I can sit in my living room and watch all of the traffic go by, it has diminished slightly, and especially during the summer, the traffic load is less than during the school year, which is when the flowers will be sold, not in November.
I live on 8 Highland Circle and just around the corner from Christy and Christian. My name's Amanda Barnett. I really appreciate the roadside stands in Hadley and find that they're a draw. I also struggle with how fast people go down Rocky Hill Road. I have a farm down the street and we have kids in the neighborhood, and if anything, I think cars parking on the side of the road, pulling in and out, is gonna cause people to slow down. So I think more inconveniences on Rocky Hill Road is a little bit of a draw for me, because it will slow the traffic down. People are often going like 10 and 20 miles over the speed limit, and people use that road. There's no sidewalk, there's not a big shoulder, so one, appreciate the roadside stands, feel like it's not a huge inconvenience during the summer, and yeah, like the anything that disincentivizes driving on Rocky Hill Road also, not to draw less customers to the flower stand.
Can I add to that? Sure. Okay. So I also frequent the stands and I love your farm and I appreciate that about Hadley. But the part of Rocky Hill we're talking about is really dangerous, and I think it's gonna probably cause more accidents than slowing down, you know? I mean, people aren't paying attention when they're driving, and I think it could be a real hazard. And I would love to see a flower stand there. I love flowers. I think that's lovely, but I just don't think it's appropriate for that part of Rocky Hill. It's really a very hazardous part of the road, and I think it might cause accidents. And also, there's, you know, we have a stake in it because we live across the street, and I really do feel there's nothing to prevent people from parking on our property. Our mailboxes are right on the road. It's very hazardous. You know, I could see people taking those out because they're just, you know, backing up and they're not seeing it. I don't know, I just don't think it's an appropriate place on Rocky Hill for people to pull in and out of, so.
That's a tough one, yeah. So, the, we like to try to be like a common sense board. I pride myself on being the common sense board where we can. A lot of circumstances, I feel like we have some flexibility, especially when neighbors are in support of a project, or if neighbors don't care, or if they don't show up and say anything. In particular, when you're talking about a what we call a dimensional usage, a dimensional variance, which is like where you say, I want to build a porch and it's going to go 5 feet into the setback, or something like that. I feel like a lot of times we're able to be flexible with people. I have some trouble with this. I know, I understand the applicant's perspective that it feels somewhat inequitable that the people on the other side of the road, the people who are here objecting to his plan, could themselves set up a farm stand if they wanted to and sell flowers on the same road. I hear all the concerns about Rocky Hill. I'm on Rocky Hill a lot myself. I understand the concerns about Rocky Hill, the speeds, the traffic congestion there. Some of those are, in fairness, a little bit outside the scope of what the applicant is talking about here. So I do feel like a little bit that some of the concerns are not really related to a flower stand that potentially is going to drive a de minimis amount of traffic to the neighborhood. I don't think we're going to have people flocking down like the busy road to go to that flower stand. But I also have always taken the position that, like, we would, to be honest, we would lose this variance. The town would lose this variance in court if the neighbors were to object to it. And I don't feel comfortable making people go to court to enforce their rights. Like, whether you think this is like not the best way to set up zoning in town is like once people are in disagreement, like abutting neighbors, I feel like it's more of like a question for the town meeting and the planning board to like alter the zoning like rules versus like doing it through a variance, because I mean that the rules are the rules, and like they're there to protect the people who are next to each other. They're there to protect, the applicant. He has rules about neighbors encroaching on his side setbacks, and like we all get the benefits and the burden of the zoning rules. And it's one thing if a neighbor doesn't care about where you put your shed or something, but I can see that this could impact the people who live across the street. There's going to be more people stopping to look. And again, that's like slightly outside the scope of what he's asking. Like those concerns are about how busy the road is, but I think that that's fair to take into account in this situation, because how it could impact them. And I think, I don't know, to some extent it just matters that they care about it. Like even when somebody, we've had situations on this board, in the last 15 years that I've been on the board where somebody wants to put up a shed and they say, what do you care about where I put their shed? And the neighbor's like, it's my setback, I care about where you put it. And it doesn't feel like neighborly, and it doesn't feel like it's really gonna make that big of a difference in that neighbor's enjoyment of the property. But like to some extent, like the people who live next to each other have a right to like enforce it on each other if they want to. And even though that doesn't always like feel fair, that's kind of like the nature of how zoning works. So, I mean, that's my, that's my thought on it. You guys feel differently?
I'm very familiar with how Walker and Friendly Rocky Hill is.
And, you know, maybe that, like, if the planning board and town meeting wanna take it up and they want to, you know, either move the tighten the residential zone or allow farm stands within the residential zone if you have a certain size property. I mean, like, I'm sympathetic to the fact that he has an acre and a half here and that, like, that feels like you should be able to do something like this on there. But, I don't know, it's like, it's tough when, like, I don't wanna make these people have to go to court to enforce this, and like, it exposes the town to liability, and like, the town would lose this, like, variance case in court.
I mean, it feels like such a small thing, right? Flower stand, but I mean, to Andrew's point, you know, the neighbors coming out for support and opposition. It's a hard thing. Again, going back to the legalities of it, right? As well, like it would be easy for us to just say, sure, if there was no opposition to it, and you know, nothing would come of it. But I think at this point, it's
Can I say one more thing? There's a number of really blind driveways on Rocky Hill Road right around the corner. So if the argument is that this is gonna be a dangerous area to pull out of, those exist along the whole road where you can't see as the driver pulling out. And this is actually a pretty visible spot when you're coming down the road. It's very open, there's not a lot of trees. So I just wanna like nudge to consider that this area is not more dangerous than any of the driveways that people are pulling out of, especially around the sharp turn there. It seems like, yeah, it's not necessarily, the safety doesn't seem like it's the biggest issue.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, like a lot of what I'm hearing is like, I understand people are frustrated with the Route 9 project. It's driving a lot of increased traffic on Rocky Hill, and like Jason used to live on Rocky Hill. He knows how busy the traffic is on Rocky Hill. He lives right up the street from there. So I'm hearing that. I hear that there's like I think some of those concerns I think are really outside the scope of what like we're here to deal with, and like understanding your point that there's blind driveways, there's all sorts of hazards on Rocky Hill, but I think that it's not completely unfair to like for someone else to say, should we be bending the rules or creating an exception to like create one more potential hazard that is also going to be very close to their house on Rocky Hill. Your point being that what's one more thing, but their point being like it's right across the street from them, and they don't, you know, they feel like they should have the right to say something about it.
And can I just say that I totally agree there are worse parts, but people see that kind of open space and they speed. So when they're going around the S-curves, they're probably being a little more careful. They're looking at, I see it every day, they're looking at their phones. And I feel like if there's people pulling in, pulling out, slowing down, boom, you know, and so it creates a different type of hazard, but nonetheless a hazard, you know, so just my observations is people are not paying attention.
Any more discussion? So I think
Are there any like modifications that we're talking about, or this was just a straight like there's dissent, so no, or? Because I'm open to changing just about anything. I would just like my wife to be able to sell her flowers, you know.
Could she roam
cut them, bring them to a location. I mean, even around here, they have little, areas where you can sell flowers at a stand.
I mean, that is something that a person could do, right? It's different than having your own though.
And, I mean, I think the, I mean, in the face of like opposition, I think the, I think my issue is with the table of use, like variance, because I think that's like a tougher, standard to, like, overcome on, like, again, it's like, not like we were saying, oh, I'm just trying to, you know, if you're on a straightaway and you wanna get a little bit closer to the road than you're allowed or whatever, then I think we have like some flexibility. I think courts have like recognized that. But I think that this, I think honestly, I think that it would be, I think the way to do this properly would be to change, to move the line on like the residential zone, or to get some type of change to the residential zoning, like regulations, to have them say that properties over a certain amount of space can have, you know, farm stands or something in them. I don't see it as, like, again, in the face of opposition particularly, I think it's not like a good one for a variance, like the use. It's like, so, I mean, just to speak frankly on this, like, I would vote against this tonight, so it needs to be, the board needs to be unanimous to grant a variance. So, you know, just speaking for myself, I'd be against it, so that it would fail as a variance. The options at that point are that we could put it to a vote and it would fail, and then, or you can withdraw the application, and then if something were to change in the future, you could refile. But if we put it to a vote and vote it down, then you can't refile with it for 2 years. Those are kind of like the two options at that point.
Okay. Well, it seems like given those options, I will withdraw unless there's something I'm missing. There seems to be no advantage to putting it to a vote, right?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay.
Does that make sense to you guys?
Thank you. Speak up, Kayla.
All right. Next on the docket, we have 20 Mount Warner Road, public hearing, request for a variance under 6.2. Hadley zoning bylaw by Amy Allen, property at 20 Mount Warner Road, assessor's map 6B, lot 73, agricultural residential zone. Seeking a variance from setback requirements for construction of an addition to the house, which will be approximately 32 feet from the rear property line. Is there anyone on that one here?
Yeah, Amy Allen wants it. So we're seeking a variance for a side setback as well as a rear setback for an addition. The addition won't impact anyone's use or view, or it won't impact anyone else. The rear of the lot is the back of Mount Warner, and the neighbors on the side have, the way the land is used along the property line, just a row of trees, so it really doesn't impact anyone's use. So we're looking for, I think it's 8-foot variance for the 40-foot setback, and a 5-foot variance for the 15-foot side setback. In years ago, there was a structure, a larger structure there. It was a broom barn. So it's going to sort of occupy a similar space. And it's gonna look like a little barn. And it's just because I now have more dogs than I did.
Yeah, James can check it out. I'm not thinking of that, but maybe I just ran out of ink.
You ran out of thinking.
So the idea is that there'll be a shed roof off the rear of the house. The house is very small, it's 24 by 24. So in the rear of the house, there'll be a 10 or 12-foot addition with a shed roof. And to the side of the house, by the side lot, a barn-like structure, which would be 20 by 30, I believe.
You're not too close. Where is this on Melbourne?
It's
Right across
directly
from
across from
Joel
Stockwell.
Stockwell.
It's a little white house on a knoll.
It's the old school house.
It's cute.
Mhm.
It's a very cute little house. Thank you.
Okay, so we have, so,
And it would just be a one-story.
on this survey here, we have, is this the 40, is that the 40 foot? That's 40 feet back there,
Yes, that's what Randy had done.
and then,
And then that
this is 15.
funny line,
That's 15 feet,
uh,
probably right there.
yes? So it could be done without the variances, but would be much smaller. My husband and I had 2 homes and too many dogs, and it worked fine until he died, and now I have too many dogs in my house. There's space.
We are Rick and Michelle Bernucci, directly across the street, 17 Mount Warner Road, in favor of this addition. The way the mountain, her land goes up the hill, to build something and carve out the mountain to go a little bit wider for a side setback seems to fit the scope of work, what she's looking for, a little bit better than trying to build something within the setbacks itself.
Topography, that's what we like to hear.
There it is.
So the rear of the lot is starting to go
Straight up,
the
yeah,
mountain.
yep.
And I don't even think that the trails are directly behind my house.
No.
People often walk behind my
Not,
house.
yeah,
But
not even close to that area there.
And the other neighbors to my side at 18 Mount One Road are in support of it. They're just not.
One more neighbor to her further up the road, so it sits way up on the hill. So view-wise, it impacts virtually nothing.
They can't even see my
No,
refuse to
no.
burn. There's a,
Current house is like 22 feet, it's like 22 feet off, now it's gonna go to, it's just kind of barely going over there.
there's a plan that Tim Nyhart had done, if you'd like to see it.
issue with this one. There's no neighbors here, opposing, there's nothing behind the house on the 40-foot setback, there's nobody there to care about that. Sounds like the topography of the lot is unusual in that you're limited to where you can build because of the location of the mountain and some steep terrain, rocky terrain. So I think that it qualifies, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
It seems like all the pieces are together for this one, right? I mean, from a standpoint of, like you said, there's really no pushback on it. It seems like the area itself is accommodating for what it is, right, from the neighbor's perspective and things like that.
They planted an entire row from just about the street to the mountain of nut trees, which will grow tall and obscure the view of the one-story addition anyway. So there's there's absolutely no use for the space between the addition regardless of size and the row of trees. On the side.
The neighbors just before her, their home is located directly on that further side
Down the
yard.
hill.
So there's almost like a double lot in between the two properties. Just in a series of old barns and whatnot that were throughout that.
So that row of trees I'm speaking of is about 20 feet from the property line. And so it sort of makes its own setback, side setback.
Yeah. I'll do a motion to grant the variance on the requested setbacks as described in the plan.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you want that
Thank
back.
you, yes, please.
All right. 7:35 here. 239 River Drive, public hearing, request for a variance under 6.2, Hadley zoning bylaw by Rick Ramucci, property located 239 River Drive, the old North Hadley Town Hall. Assessors map 6B, lot 29, this is the limited business zone. He's seeking a variance from the table of uses to allow for refurbishment of a mixed-use building to have 5 apartments and a unit for the Ramucci Construction general business operations.
Ray Bermucci, my wife Michelle Bermucci, representing ourselves, seeking permission to create those 5 units in that building, along with our operational business use that we currently have here now.
So there is a okay, so we have the existing structure that there's a historical preservation?
There is, yep.
Yes, there is a
Yep.
preservation restriction on the building.
Yep.
So the inside can be almost anything. The outside has to stay historically accurate. The deed made it clear that the grounds need to stay the same so that it had been a recreational area. The building was built by the richest man in Hadley at the time, this was the 1800s. He gave it to the town as a school for the children of North Hadley, so they wouldn't have to walk all the way to the 3 miles to school, so I mean, it was a big deal. And the land was given to the town as a recreational area for everybody in the town. And I've lived at 245 River Drive for 25 years, and for so many of those years, in the beginning, there were a lot of children, and it was lots of giggling, and it was absolutely fabulous. And the Village Hall was a community center. There were plays. I did yoga there. People had parties. I mean, it was great. So to be turning it into 5 condos is more than is legal. That means 10 more cars in the area, which is crazy. It's just, I mean, that's not the right term, I realize, but it's a lot more traffic. We already have milk trucks going by. I know you don't know this because you don't live there. There are milk trucks, the potato trucks from the farm. It's a
Barnwood Farm.
Yeah, I mean, it's, and more traffic is just so unacceptable. Plus, we need the field, can be used for parking when there are events at the church, but to use it for residential parking becomes contrary to the deed.
So there is restrictions on that field to leave it kind of open green space, no other buildings to be built there. On that one diagram, we do see some parking offset on the north side of the building. Asphalt-wise, from what's there currently, maybe slightly higher than currently because there's gonna be much smaller driveways, sidewalks, landscaping.
This is mostly asphalt right now?
And you know,
Yeah, quite a bit of it is.
I'm also on the board, or was, of the Friends of Lake Warner, which is right behind. And there's no one taking care of that except this small group of us. And we work really hard to keep it clean. And if there's more grit from cars going into the lake, that's another problem. So
Currently, Friends of Lake Warner have decided to build docks behind our property on the water, which we've allowed use of.
well, we haven't yet, so.
They're currently there now.
But that's not your, that part isn't really, I think that part belongs to the.
No, it's ours.
Not too sure, but I don't think that, I think, always thought that belonged to the state.
Well, we're asking for 5 residential units, a total of, they're 2-bedroom units. Town restrictions, you probably have to have 10 parking spaces, yes.
10 more cars.
This would impact town positively with taxes. A building of that size, what do you propose to do with it? Tear
I
it
don't know,
down?
there was a proposal early on.
Of a
some-
music venue. Would you rather a music venue there?
Yeah, I would, because.
So those cars aren't gonna impact flow?
No, that wasn't what was proposed. What was proposed was a community center. Then it could be used for music, like very low-key music, not rock and roll. It wouldn't be a bar, it would be whatever. So all I'm saying is this is more complicated for me as a resident, as a neighbor.
Currently, we
I don't agree with
maintain
this.
all of the area, we mow the lawns, we allow the church to park in that.
Well, you
green
have to,
space.
because that's in the deed.
And we maintain it, and we work around their schedule, they park and pull in whenever they want, run up the fields, we fix it. We allow the ice fishing derby to maintain parking there, we're actually hosting a party for.
And that's a problem. I think they're a problem. Not for you,
Yeah.
for the Friends of Lake Warner.
So, as a community center, there was nobody in the community that stepped up and bought the building. The
There
town-
was.
The town sold it
The
though.
town, yeah.
And the town wouldn't give it, something happened, and I don't know what happened there.
But the town couldn't maintain it, they had to
Yeah.
sell it.
And yes, but they weren't, it was to this, there was somebody who stepped up who wanted to make it a community center. There was somebody else, I can't,
With an outbuilding and an apartment and some other.
this was years ago,
Yeah.
a number of years ago.
Yeah.
And it didn't go through, and
Well,
so
I
now
know,
it's
but
empty and
there was
it
an
needs
issue
maintenance
that
and
I don't
everything.
know.
We would
It wasn't
be
about the
owner
town.
occupied.
I don't
We
remember.
live right on Mount Warner, right up the road. We currently have our business operating through there. with the Historical Society to maintain the beauty.
Historical
and back to
Commission.
what- Commission, so, and work through those deep restrictions on that portion of the building. Everybody we've talked to were in support of the project.
Who did you-
Directly across the street, the richest man in Hadley that built the school, that is now a 5 or 6 unit rental with 15, 20 cars in that driveway. Yes, exactly. You know, we want to make it higher end. They're going to be 2-bedroom. We don't want a student stuffer. We don't want a frat house.
Ed Keeler, 236 River Drive, right across the street. The town has all kinds of restrictions on what they can do with that building. It's been a town meeting numerous times. They can only have so much. They rejected a guy that wanted to buy it and put 3 apartments, and now you got 5. He was gonna give the town double the money that the town got for the whole place, plus donate to the Zaturka Park. The select board said no. Years later, Ricky and Joe buy it for half the money that the guy was gonna offer, with less apartments. The select board said no. No apartments in Hadley. Only apartments they said you could allow is 55 and over, is what they wanted there, if anyone's building anything. But I'm over 55, I don't want to climb stairs, and you're gonna need to climb stairs if you're gonna live there at 55. So the planning board's got all kinds of stuff set up for this building already through town meeting and the select board.
So part of, okay, so a couple thoughts about this. This is potentially not the cleanest way to do it through like the variance process, but my understanding is that Mr. Pamucci's proposal to the town has always included like building 5 or 6 apartments in the building. So the selectmen don't like literally have the authority to like tell him that he's going to be able to do that because of the way the town bylaws work. But that was like an understood part of the process that was done like publicly, and that as part of awarding like the contract to him or the sale to him, that was like understood that was what he was proposing to do. I hear that there was other plans that people had for it, music venues, community centers. People wanted to keep it as is. They wanted to fix it up and keep it as the fire station. I was around for all those like conversations. They wanted to put the new fire station on the ball field. There was an issue about whether they could. I think so somebody asked for a variance to do that. It came before us. But I think like we should be careful to like stay like on target of what we're here to talk about, and like people can be disappointed with like the process of how we got here, but the town decided that they didn't want to fix up that building and keep it as a community center. They wanted to privatize it. They wanted to try to keep the historical preservation restriction on it, keep it looking the same on the outside.
Well, I get the outside, you can't touch it, it has to stay the same. But they've had numerous meetings in town with the planning board, with the select board, with town meeting, saying what they're gonna do if they sell the building and what they can do with it.
That's what I'm saying, is that the selectmen like voted to sell the building.
Right. That's fine, they sold it to them, I have no problems with them running their business.
He told the selectmen, when I buy this building, I'm gonna turn it into apartments. That's what I wanna do with it when I buy it, that's what he said to them.
Guess they better go back and do some,
Homework, me too,
Yeah.
yeah. 4 apartments. 4 apartments seems reasonable. 5 apartments is too many.
well, the original guy that was gonna buy it was gonna put 3.
But that was too many.
That was Joel Greenbaum, who owns the place next to me. The town shot him down.
We could put 2, but if they're 2 6-bedroom units, now we got students that are right there.
Well, you
So,
can have students in.
also this same issue came up in front of our board with the Shady Lawn, the old Shady Lawn nursing home on 47, and there was neighbors were in opposition to that, And the issue with that is it's like, you know, it's like a 7,000, 8,000 square foot building. And it's like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What's he gonna do with this building? And people don't necessarily understand that he could turn it into a frat house. He could turn it, like, you could take a 10,000 square foot building and rent it to 30 people. Like, you could make it into one unit and rent it to 30 people. I think you'd rather have it split up into 5 apartments than to have it rented as one unit to a bunch of people. And this has come up several times. Again, it came up with Shady Lawn. Like the town bylaws as currently set up, like, have no limitation on how many people you can, like, put into a single unit. There's, like, outside of, like, Board of Health, like, concerns. So
Well, there is if it's a 55 and over, because the people have to be 55 and
Well, that's
over
about-
living there.
That's
And that's what it was, the planning board sort of wanted when they were selling it, because they were making up all the rules. Bill Dwyer was adamant about this. That town meeting, his board, what they were gonna have there if they sell it.
And we're here tonight on this application, and there's nobody here from the planning board telling us not to
No,
put
they
a
have to go, they'll have to go to them after anyways.
So how do you keep 2 people in each apartment when you might have 4 people, right? You might have 2 people in each bedroom.
You might, but no different than any other house
So
in
then you
town.
have students, I mean, that's how students would, so you still could have,
If they wanna pay the rent.
yeah.
They could have,
And they do.
they could
They
have
do.
20 kids, they can stuff them
They
in.
do pay the rent.
But this is a situation.
I have nothing about his business. He can have his business there, it's own that, whatever. I'm just
This,
objecting
To
the
the-
apartment part because of all the bylaws and all the stuff this planning board did and that town meeting and the select board on what was gonna be done with the building.
with all due respect, I think you're missing a key component of that analysis in that, like, the final decision that the town took was to sell it to a developer who wanted to put apartments into it. So I understand that at some point Joel Greenbaum wanted to buy it and they told him no, and maybe
Well, he was
maybe-
putting apartments too.
I know, but what I'm saying is that, like,
That's what they.
that's what the final proposal was, that somebody was gonna buy it and put apartments into it.
You wrote a narrative and this was our intentions and they offered that.
So I-
But the
accepted the offer.
deed says you can't do that,
I don't think it does.
right? It says the deed bars developing the grounds.
And we're not developing, parking, but if you, amount of square footage of asphalt,
But you, well, do anything to the inside.
yeah.
I
Our
don't want
intention is to keep the outside looking better than it currently is, invest money into the building. Sadly, we haven't done much upkeep because we don't know the fate of the building. We took down the chain link fence that was falling down and overgrown and trying to clean the place up some.
And you took down the swings.
We did.
Kids
It
love
was a
those
hazard.
swings.
It was repurposed.
The swings have been on for.
It was repurposed.
I said earlier tonight that, we try to act like on this board with common sense. We try to, if we like to keep everybody happy who comes before the board, neighbors and applicants. I see this as one of those situations of, one of the ways that you weigh a variance is like the uniqueness of the property compared to other properties in the district. And you see a building like this, I don't know, how many square feet is this building? I think it's,
25,000, 8,000, 9,000.
so it's like, what, I don't,
What house is the oldest one in the center?
Yours is?
1820.
I just don't know, what would you do, what would you do with this building?
I think whatever else you put there, it's gonna impact traffic and number of parking spaces
Well-
tenfold.
I just have to, I understand you need to
Do
make
something
money.
with
You have
it.
to do something. Losing much of that green space for this little part of town. This is the center of North Hadley. It makes me very sad. It was, the kids get off the bus and they play there until somebody picks them up. It's the only green space in the whole area.
The amount of green space that would be affected is extremely minimal.
And we're
Well,
only gonna
it-
fix it up.
I played baseball there.
There needs to be, I mean, it would be nice, it would be.
Watched a lot of
Well, I-
balls go off that church.
Well, there used to be a, there used to
right
be
next
a,
door.
people used to
I
put
think
up
that
some.
one of the big issues is the parking and the cars. Because, you know, it's a quiet neighborhood. It's a very, you know, people do go slow through the center of town. They, you know, it's very residential. I think the way it's set up now, the north side of the building, there's already concrete there. So if the cars were limited, like absolutely, you can't rent an apartment here. You are not allowed more than one car or two cars. If you're really strict in terms of, you know, how you rent those apartments, you can minimize the number of cars. The cars would be, you wouldn't really have to cut into that green space very much if you're parking where there's already concrete along the north side of the building. So, I mean, and I think since Rick and his crew have been there, it's a lot cleaner than it was. They've been good neighbors. I just feel like something needs to be done with that building. There's far fewer pigeons already, because that was a huge issue, you know, probably about 20 years ago. It was nasty.
It still
So
is.
I think things have improved since, you know, in the years since they've been there. So I think if you can limit the cars and the amount of people and be very adamant about no student housing, I think that would be a good use of that building. It would be I think the least invasive in terms of, you know, bringing more people into the neighborhood. If you had a couple apartments, but you limited, you know, how big they are or how many people you can, you know, legally park there.
That was our intention with the 2-bedroom units. You know, it's gonna be affordable for us to build, and, you know, recover enough income to support the project. But we felt the number of 5 was the balance. You know, anything 6 or more, then we gotta get into affordable housing. We could put 10 low-income units in there with support from the state, and that's not our intentions. We live right up the street, we owner-occupy the building, we wanna maintain, and that's was our intentions with that building the whole time. Just down the street, there's overflow parking on the common where they park boats, and students park on that year-round. I don't know if you can limit the number of cars, you know, the field is basically overflow parking for anybody that feels like they should park there anytime, knowing or not. We try to support community events there, and we want to see that grow. You know, we always park there for the Memorial Day Parade, have a little gathering right there while they march up the center of North Hadley.
Bring back the fireworks.
Yeah.
Bring back the
I remember
fireworks.
those
Our
days.
intentions are, you know, we're having people wanting to have things, and it's,
So how do you keep people from bringing all their cars? I mean, I can't, that's the issue really.
well, that's like telling the people that attend church to carpool,
No,
and
no,
only
no.
bring 4 cars.
No,
because they
but
operate.
not the people who are coming, the people who live there. I mean, if you had 4 apartments, 8 people, 10 people, 12, I mean, they can't each bring a car. Kids all bring their cars, there are like 1 million of them.
I get it, you know, personally, we have like 8 vehicles on the road. I got a couple of pickup trucks, we've got
I
a
know.
car that I drive, you know, so like,
Yeah,
you
but
could
they
have
don't-
7 cars registered in your name, and no, there's no limitation on number
No,
of
but
cars
they would
that-
park on my lawn. They would park on my property. This is, like, I mean.
Well, this is my property here.
But what I'm saying is, as a resident of this neighborhood where I've lived for 25 years and it's been so peaceful, that this makes me very nervous of having all these new apartments with people with feeling they have the right to do whatever they want.
Yeah, and it's change, and it's positive to the town with the
Positive
taxes.
to some parts of the town, but not to the North Hadley part of the town.
I think like
But
Lynn
it's-
said
it's-
earlier, we're not looking to rent to students or, you know. for,
But you
know.
can't say no to them. I mean, legally, you cannot do
But if
that.
our goal
right.
is to build
You
like
can say-
So-
2-bedroom,
You can say no to students.
higher end
Well,
apartments where, you know, we're hoping to appeal
Yeah.
more to professionals and, you know, they don't wanna, you know, I know there's a lot of laws with rentals and
It'd be
whatnot,
nice if
so-
it turns out like the Beehive, but you never know when people are going in and out of there. There's nothing, it's just, it's peaceful. And then now you're gonna try to bring something else into the mix. Is it gonna stay that? That's the only
Yeah.
thing where,
They'll, like, I hear like all the objections, I understand all the objections, and like if this was gonna be next to my house, I might have concerns about it too. And like I fully understand that. I just like, I'm trying to think about how to like say this, like, I feel like these issues were like issues that should have been brought up to the selectmen when the selectmen were deciding what to do with the property. Like I feel like that decision has already like been made, that the selectmen like decided to privatize the property, and that's going to change the nature of like the center of North Hadley to do that. And like I'm not saying it's inappropriate to like bring it up now, but I feel like those concerns were something that the selectmen needed to weigh when they were deciding whether to sell the property or whether to keep it a town piece of property. And the selectmen are an elected board that represent the will of the town, and like that's what they decided to do with the property.
But they didn't suggest variance. It's the variance
Like,
that is.
They 100% did suggest a variance.
The ship has sailed.
How
It
come
was
there's,
sold.
again, I would
The
also
ship- the-
I would
the
also
ship
point
has
out that there's
sailed.
like no selectmen here tonight telling us not to give this variance.
As a matter of fact, I think most of them are in favor of the project.
Like,
Well, they're not here, so you
No,
can't.
I can't
But
speak
they-
for them, but
That's what, again, like, but again, this was,
So why did we come here? If you said it was a done deal when you said that.
that's not what I said. I said that this is not like a new plan that was like sprung at this meeting. Like this was the plan that was pitched to the selectmen and that the selectmen chose. What I'm saying is like I'm not even saying I disagree with your concerns or that I wouldn't feel the same exact way. But I'm saying like those concerns, and I think I'm not saying you didn't direct them to the selectmen, but those concerns were properly directed to the selectmen when they were deciding what to do with this like piece of property. And I think now, like so say we vote to turn down this variance, like what would happen to this property? It would continue to deteriorate and eventually fall down. Like I don't
know.
like that's what I like this is a unique property that like it needs to be put to some type of unique use, and that is I think what makes it like ripe for a variance, is that it's an unusually situated like property.
Well,
So-
there was a time when it was turned down because they wanted eight apartments at
somebody
one point.
proposed 8, yeah.
And that was like, oh no, that's way too many. So that was turned down. Now we have 5, which is also maybe too many. So if you tell me you do 4 apartments, 2 bedrooms apiece, that I can live with. 5 is like another 4 or 5 people, another 4 or 5 cars.
The same plans we submitted to ZBA are the exact same
Well, you
plans that we
can-
submitted to the select board when we asked to buy the property, so nothing has changed on our end.
Like I said, if we could do 2 units, but it's probably gonna be 2
Well,
6-bedroom
you don't do
units,
2
so that's
units,
12
you could do 4,
bedrooms.
you could do 4 units.
So
And have 8 people in it, 4 people.
We could have 2 people, but that's not gonna pay the build-out cost.
No, but you would still, come on. You know, I can't, you're not gonna make a lot of money in this business, doing this, but
I'd like to cover my cost and put a little bit in our pocket for
probably,
upkeep.
but, you know, all I'm saying
I didn't
is-
do it to just keep, you
No.
know.
I don't know why you did it, because this is becoming,
I feel like the history of the sale, right, like Andrew
it's
said, I
pretty,
appreciate.
I've spent years working on this. I was on the historical commission.
No, I understand that, I
You know,
appreciate
this
that.
is such a
I'm
depressing-
I'm just speaking toward like the select board, the decision to sell the property, knowing that this was gonna come in variance at some point. Right, just
Yeah,
when.
we felt we sat too
And-
long,
and
but
I-
we're in the time.
I feel like between that and obviously the Mucci's here are town folk, right? They're here to do the right things with this property. They're planning to upkeep it, right? They already have, everybody said that, they've done some nice things around there. And to Andrew's point of what's gonna happen to this historical property if this gets denied, right? I don't know, nobody knows. And to clean it up, fix it up, knowing again that the sale of it was planned for this at some point. Not to say it was a done deal then, but I feel like it's from my perspective, it's.
Yeah, I don't want to misstate that this was like, that anybody on the select board has like told us what to do with this, or has like told us it has to be this certain way. Like, they've clearly like stated to us that this is a zoning board decision on the variance, to the extent they've said anything to us at all. But like, I'm trying to like keep clear like what we're here to like talk about tonight, and like to be honest, I don't think like we're here to talk about the decision to sell the property to a private developer. Like, I think that decision was already made to sell the property to a private developer, and now like it's before us to decide like whether his proposed use is like consistent with like the grounds for a variance, and to weigh that. I don't like, you hear talk about like whether we should be doing four units or 5 units. Like, I mean, that feels like nibbling around the edges on this. Like, I think if it qualifies for a variance, it qualifies for a variance, and like the number of apartments is like 5 apartments versus 4 apartments. I don't see what that would accomplish other than to like see this project, you know. I'm not sure on the parking question, in terms of where the delineation of the ball field like begins, and where to the extent that there's, and I don't even really know that is, I don't really understand like where that falls within our purview. I don't know if it makes sense. We have another hearing scheduled for July 9th. I don't know if it makes sense to like continue this to that, and like let me consult with town council on like whether there's an issue for us to like be concerned with on like the like pavement part. I mean, I hear your point that, and I'm I'm familiar that is like an access way that was there, so that doesn't seem like you're paving the whole.
No, and it's gonna be less pavement on the other side and no pavement in the front of the building where cars currently park. Yeah. It's kind of a designated area.
I'm not sure like where and I don't know how that falls like in our purview completely.
Yep.
Like, I don't know where
from my recollection, is to maintain an open grass area. I don't think there was a size limitation.
Is all one
parcel?
It's all one parcel?
Yep. And it's challenging. It's on the water. It's historical. It's the size of the building. There's definitely other codes and things that we have to maintain. Our plan is to have a stockade, not a stockade, but like a split rail fence and some greenscape around that parking area to kind of cut down. But the intent of keeping the ball field open is for access cars for community events. So basically, she's asking us not to park in our field for the building use, but for her use.
That wasn't quite what I was asking.
Not in that roundabout
Excuse
way,
me?
but yeah.
I would like to know that if somebody wanted to play soccer, this is the season, they could play there. That's kind of what's been happening. And so if you take too much of that, there won't be a space for people.
And I'm more than welcome to spray paint it out and kind of mark out the areas.
All I'm saying is.
It won't be a Walmart parking lot in that field.
That's
using
my concern.
16th of The open
section
space.
we're looking, you know, to put pavement is extremely minimal.
Yeah,
That,
yeah.
the majority
And
of
to
that
keep
field is
the,
still gonna
the
be an
grit
open
and
space.
so forth away from the pond.
100%, and that's, you know,
Because that
conservation
becomes-
and other things, whether it's, you know, yeah.
We've owned it for the last 4 years and we've never told anybody, you know, you can't play ball there or not, you know.
Well,
The church
you
has
have-
always
you have- well,
used it
don't-
as freely as
the
they
town
wanted.
never
It's never
smelled
been an
it.
issue.
Yeah. You know, we'd
for
like to
us.
put benches back there and open up some of the view to the pond and encourage, you know.
Okay.
But it seems like more people are using the field than we are, and we're the ones maintaining and ensuring it.
Kayla, is conservation involved in like parking and like that?
Are you,
like
are
that
you
big
redoing any pavement?
We will be, and that'll be
So
a
that's a
separate,
problem.
yeah. Yep.
You filed with Conservation Commission.
And conservation would like take into account the design of the parking lot and like the.
Yeah, we would just look at conversion of pervious to impervious surface, if there's any expansion of pavement. And we wanna see like erosion and sediment controls for construction.
They would look at the setbacks, how close you're gonna get to the water.
Right.
Yeah, so there's challenges that we have to work within.
I don't think. Maybe this turnaround spot, but it doesn't look like they're not really built, they're building.
Yeah.
And there's like an access road on the north side there,
Yep.
like that goes along the north side of the building, and they're just
Yeah.
talking about moving that out to make parking spaces.
Yep.
And then putting like a turnaround at the end.
Then we could square that up and eliminate that turnaround for, you know, that's more for some of the utilities and different things that come out.
I would just like to, I would like to check with town council on this one. And just to check on like whether, on how we're supposed to pay attention to that like open space like part. I mean, I think you have to put parking somewhere. What's on the south side of the building?
All blacktop out front, and our thought was,
Over here.
yeah, that's all blacktop.
That's all blacktop.
Pretty much right to the property line, the whole front. So as you get closer to the center of North Hadley, traffic comes up there a little bit hotter than beyond the building, a little bit more sight vision, line of sight to see down, so that's what we thought was tenant parking on one side, a small parking area for my wife and I, and while we're working there in the office.
So that part's gonna stay the same?
Shrinked up some, so the amount of square foot of asphalt virtually about the same, and then measure it to, right now, there's probably 10 parking spaces in the front of the building, there'd be no parking in the front, it'd be all landscape sidewalks.
Okay, there's parking in the front.
Yeah, it's probably a 400-foot curb cut right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's, yeah.
So wait, there's parking in the front of the building?
Currently now.
Yeah, but not 10. You only have a few guys that park there, right?
I think the curb cut's almost 400 feet from start of asphalt to end of asphalt. It's quite a bit of asphalt.
So are you gonna put in a sidewalk?
Yeah. Yes. Our intention
You can
is
do
to-
sidewalk and 4 apartments. You've only had the building for like a million years, and there could have been a sidewalk for me. I walk by there and I have to hope nobody hits me when they.
That's
No, they-
already
they don't.
improved.
They're very-
You guys
they're very-
yeah.
Have already fixed that sidewalk,
Yeah.
like 10
Yeah.
times better than it was.
Not that
but-
goes in front of the building. Not in front of the building.
You know, we thought the number
It
of
would be
5
nice fixed
was
up
the
with
good
a view
ratio.
of the
It's 6 or
pond.
more, now you have to.
Yeah.
It really
which
would, to
the
be able to
affordable
see
housing,
the
They don't
pond.
have a
Well, you
dollar
can see-
figure,
can't
they
see
don't
the
know
river
how to
going down
You
negotiate
can
River
see
Drive.
the pond
Yeah.
now.
yet. That's a whole nother
You
can
can
of
see the
worms,
pond
you know,
now.
I don't know if the number of
I'm just
units
saying, it'd be nice
has
to see
anything
more.
to do with this meeting, it's changing.
And they're gonna
use of
clean
the
it up?
building.
It's all,
More
well,
so
the
than
building
anything.
needs
No, the pond.
You know, our
We're
intention is
working
not
on the
to turn
pond.
into a
The
frat
Friends
house
of Lake
and do
Warner,
giant
no. The Starzinski woman
4,000
that
square foot
donated.
I know that.
Oh, yeah.
And we, Friends of Lake Warner, are cleaning up the pond.
With-
Oh, I thought they would be
With that
hiring-
money.
Oh,
We bought a thing,
a dredger?
and now we need people to donate for gasoline, for fuel.
I would like to continue to our next hearing, to our next meeting on July 9th at we have a meeting at 7:15, so this one will be at 7:30.
So Amy, I should have brought you a newsletter.
For line 6 on forwarding.
From the Friends?
Do we have to reapply?
No,
to get-
right.
Put it in my mailbox.
Okay.
So we'll post it with, it won't be posted again in the paper, but it will be on the town, I'll put it on the clerk's agenda. So and then I will connect with town council.
And that's just verbiage on the ball field part.
Yeah, I just wanna check on that, check on, what like our purview for like putting conditions on like number of cars, number of people. I would just like to understand, this not a, it's not like a standard one that comes before us.
Mhm.
Like again, we did it with Shady Lawn. It's, what happens, it's a little bit unusual is that because it's a variance for a use that's not allowed as of right, like we don't have like apartment bylaws to go off of, so in terms of like, again, like number of parking spaces, like number of, I don't know that.
And we can do a little bit more homework and talk with planning and kind of see what ratios and different things are. And I can measure kind of asphalt area now versus proposed, you know.
Well, I think that would be like I said, we already have the meeting, you're gonna be here anyway.
Yep.
So I think that's easy to push it to that, and then I can connect with them. Is it July 9th?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, is the July 9th, Kayla?
Yeah. Wait, let me double check. So you got a question?
I know,
Oh, was it the 8th?
I know,
No, what's that?
I think it might be the 8th, because I feel like,
6 and 9.
July 8th, 7th, is that the wine security?
alright, so we'll do July.
Yeah, I'm working in Springfield. I knew that.
Yeah, July 8th. We'll be here at 7:15 anyway, so we'll do this one at 7:30.
It's like 18 to 65-year-olds who are going back to high school, which is really cool. We just have a graduation class.
I think that makes sense.
So awesome. Yeah.
Thank you for
Hopkins won tonight, 6-1.
What's that?
Hopkins won tonight, 6-1, they're in the finals.
Wow, that's great.
I have 6 weeks.
What?
of vacation. I work until the very end of
No, they
June,
just
and
said
I go
that
back August
on
10th.
here. Oh,